don't mind this. I wanted to send a letter to Adam Gase, but I just don't want him to know it's from me, so I'm using the letters out of this magazine. Ignore that. Anyway, NFL this week. Well, what can we say? I mean, this week I just want to give a special. We've already seen, obviously, the Friday night, Thursday night game. James Robinson, Jacksonville Jaguars, hell of a player. Because I mean, the Jags obviously they got battered by the Dolphins. Shout out Dolphins! Shout out Fitzmagic. He looked outstanding, right? But yeah, Robinson. What was interesting about Robinson is that he's an excellent, because he's a rookie, undrafted, right? He got in there because obviously Leonard Fournette has gone to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Ozigbo's gone down injured. So step up, James Robinson, and step up he has, because it's not just that, I mean, he's rushing. He only got 46 yards rushing, which isn't brilliant for a back, but he got 2 touchdowns and 83 receiving yards. Now it was those receiving yards that were very good. It was very impressive. There was one point he got it's the yards after contact that's really impressive with this kid. I'm telling you, if he's not currently on a team in your fantasy league, draft this kid now, because it's the production. It's the production that you see out of him. It's he looks really, really good. So basically, first of all, I'm going to have a look at my Ryan Barr matchup this week. So as you can see, I already played James Robinson. 25 odd points, which is absolute 24.90. So basically 25. He had an outstanding game. I'm also going with, I mean, the only one that I've been umming and ahhing over is whether to play Fournette or not, because Fournette obviously looked brilliant against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, they are playing Denver at the Mile High. The altitude could be a problem for fatigue. I mean, these are elite level athletes, so they should be able to deal with it. But also, Denver's pretty good against the run. So I am electing to play Clyde Edwards-Helair. He wasn't Helair last week. Last week, the Kansas City Chiefs kind of struggled a little bit, especially with the run game. Mahomes did all right, but Clyde Edwards, he didn't have the best game. Now, my matchup this week is basically going to be decided on Monday night. Monday night is a big night for the Baltimore Ravens, because it is the Baltimore Ravens playing Kansas City Chiefs. And it's in Baltimore as well, which is a big kind of caveat. So I think that, I mean, either Ingram or Helair, they're going to go big, and it's either one of them or both. So I've already played James Robinson, which was an excellent choice by me. The production is there, telling you, all day. So I'm playing Mahomes, Ingram. Mahomes is my quarterback. Obviously, if you've got Mahomes, you're going to play him. You have to. I feel like he's going to be better than my opponent, who's playing Cam Newton. My opponent's playing Gordon and Kamara. Obviously, Robinson has already put up his big numbers. I've also got Ingram and Helair, so I think I'll get the better of that exchange as well. Picked up Gage from Atlanta, because I feel like he's second most targeted. He's probably not going to get as many touchdowns as Calvin Ridley, but he does get the targets in a very pass-heavy offense. Likewise, at tight end, I'm going to be playing Hurst as well, because for the same reasons. DK Metcalf, I'm putting him in. Sky's the limit for this kid. He's now becoming one of Russell Wilson's favourite receivers, and he's big. He's got all the attributes to turn him into the next Megatron. And so I'm going to be playing him week in, week out. I decided to change kickers because Prater was being a bit terrible. So I put in Boswell. Boswell, kicker for Pittsburgh. They've got a matchup against Houston this week. I like that matchup. Pittsburgh are at home, and I feel like there's going to be some points there for a kicker. Rolling the dice on the defense, I'm taking the Cleveland Browns at home to beat the Washington Redskins. Now, the Cleveland Browns, they had some real swagger in their step last week against Cincinnati. So I'm thinking they've had a nice long week, because they played in obviously the Thursday night game the previous week, and their defense looked very good. Sheldon Richardson, big fan of Sheldon Richardson. Obviously, he started off at the Jets. He was one of our best players, and then obviously, like every good player for the Jets, they go somewhere else, because the Jets are just a car crash of a team right now. And yeah, so he's gone to the Cleveland Browns, and he looked outstanding. So I'm taking their defense. I am predicting myself a win this week because my opponent has already played Parker for Miami, who only did 6.9, which is not brilliant, but still a lot of football to play. Certainly a lot of ways that my team can screw this up, so we will find out. But I think I am going to go to 2-1. That's my personal prediction for my Orion Bowl NFL fantasy matchup. And so this week, yeah, I've got a few bets on this week. Well, I decided to kind of just go some more. I've got my realistic bet, my medium bet, and my terrible bet. So my realistic bet this week, which is actually still a little bit terrible because betting on a wide receiver to score any time can be problematic because sometimes if the team goes too far ahead and they don't score, then all of a sudden they're going to be running the ball for the rest of the game. But I do like Calvin Ridley and Nick Chubb both to score. Obviously, Nick Chubb's going to be running against the Washington defense, which have not been brilliant. And yeah, I'm going to take Calvin Ridley to score any time against Chicago. Chicago have got a pretty good secondary, to be fair. That's the one that's going to be if one of those is going to fail, it's going to be the Calvin Ridley one because yeah, the secondary in Chicago are pretty good. But I do think that Atlanta, they're at home, they're playing Chicago. I think that's going to be a relatively safe bet. Okay, so that's 3.78. You've got 3.78 on those two. But you throw Dalvin Cook into the mix. You could cheekily just take a Dalvin Cook and you throw him in there. Then all of a sudden, you got Chubb, Ridley, Cook to score anytime. Cook, obviously, Minnesota, they're at home in Minnesota playing the Tennessee Titans. I like that matchup for Minnesota. I think Minnesota probably win that one, which gives... and Dalvin Cook's one of their most prolific weapons. So throwing him in there, that makes it 6.80 to 1. So I'll have a go on that as well. And finally, last but not least, you have got Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson, Philadelphia, at home this week against Cincinnati, who are a terrible team right now. So Deshaun Jackson should... He's one of their best weapons. Carson Wentz quite likes him. So throwing Deshaun Jackson in there makes it 18.71. That's also just a terrible bet. But I think that there's a chance. The problem is that what makes all of these bets terrible is the foundation that I laid is terrible, right? Because the one out of all of those that I think is the most likely to not happen is Calvin Ridley, and he's in my foundation bet. So that is how to bet like an absolute moron. But either way, I'm just glad that American football is back. The less said about the New York Jets, the better. I don't know what they're going to do from here. The New York Jets, good Lord. Yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, there's a good chance they go 0-14 on the season. I don't see where they find... I don't see a team that they will beat. I just don't see it. But, yeah, so Gase is in the hot seat. Darnold's in the hot seat. But it feels like every year is a rebuilding year for the Jets. But either way, that's ending this on like on a really kind of somber note. Because the question is that one of the toughest questions in the world is what do the New York Jets do now? What they need to do is they need to start doing what Miami did. Miami started trading for draft picks, obviously, so that they could draft well and build a team for when Bill Belichick retires, and obviously Brady, who's already gone to another team, so that division gets a little bit easier to win. Which and to be fair, with Cam Newton in at quarterback and still with Bill Belichick there, it hasn't looked like it's going to be any easier of a job to win that division. So, yeah, I don't really know. I think the Jets have really got to start thinking way more long term. Adam Gase is not going to last very long. He just doesn't seem... He seems to fall out with good players rather a lot. Obviously traded Jamal Adams because they seem to have a falling out. And it seems like he doesn't really have the respect of the locker room. So I don't think he's going to last the season. I really don't. But I don't necessarily think that he's the main problem. It's a systemic problem at the New York Jets. They need to fix. They need to stop trying to win now, and they need to just think 5 years down the line. In 5 years, can we put together a team with an offensive line that can protect a quarterback that we can then draft, maybe in year 3 of the rebuilding year, so that you can play him behind someone else for like 2 seasons. But what they need to do, they need to stop ruining quarterbacks, because that's what they do every time, and I'm tired of seeing it. They get these rookies and they put them in straight away when they're not ready to do it. They've just come from college and they don't have the confidence to actually play that way yet. They just don't, and then they start losing because they don't have an offensive line. Their blockers are woeful at the moment. They don't get the protection that they need. And then, like Darnold last season said, he was seeing ghosts because he was getting hit so much. He was seeing ghosts, and they lose their confidence. And then you get some very skilled players like Geno Smith with the same. Well, he had no protection. He had 0 chance. Do you know what I mean? He had some skill to him. And same with Darnold, and they do it every time. What they need to do is just draft in a really promising rookie quarterback from college. They can draft high on the quarterback, but they need to get a veteran in there and play the veteran for a couple of years. Just look, not with no designs to win anything, but just so that the new rookie can play behind them, learn from the veteran, and then put them in. Because that's how they used to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think it was, I can't remember who Brady played under, but obviously you got Aaron Rodgers played under that kind of a Bart Starr and probably Favre. Yeah, but either way, the good quarterbacks, they used to always play behind a veteran for at least a season before they would get let loose, and then they'd get their moment when they come onto the field and then they start becoming good. But I feel like that might be the answer to it. But what do I know? Anyway, either way, some money down on those games. I think I'm probably going to watch the Falcons against the Bears, because I think that's going to be quite an entertaining matchup. And because I like watching the games from start to finish, because there's a bit of a narrative there. But either way, we'll find out how my bets panned out next week. I'll either be laughing or crying. And based on looking forward to the Jets game, I'll definitely be crying after that, because there is just no hope for them. But until next week, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.